The Bring a Trailer Podcast.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Bring a Trailer Podcast. Alex coming to you from Bring a Trailer headquarters in San Francisco, joined today by Randy and Howard. What's up, guys?
Hey.
Alex, street rod versus hot rod. What's the difference?
Let's not even, is that how you're going to fire it? Just like live wire. Touch the third rail. Howard, when was the last time you were on a podcast?
Oh, man, that was a while back, maybe 2 or 3 months.
It's been too long. You're fresh back from New York. You said you just did a car event in New York.
I've been promoted to an avid listener of the podcast.
Oh, okay.
Not a co-host.
That's
a promotion. Went to a cool event in New York City this past weekend, held at the Brooklyn Navy Yard, which is a cool destination. It was Wheels NYC, which I'd never heard of before. A 69 Veloce was showing some cars. He tipped me off to it.
What'd he bring? He'd bring something crazy?
He brought, the cars were pretty cool. He brought best car he brought was a black Countach gold wheels, which was probably the star of the show. Yeah. Good little real estate right in the center there. And he bought a Renault 5 Turbo.
Wait a minute. What color?
Not an R5 like the...
Oh, his little
front
wheel drive turbo.
Yeah, it was cool.
Yep.
I didn't know they put turbos on the front wheel drive cars.
They did.
Interesting.
But good event. Yeah, sufficiently hipster, rap music blaring. Really cool site, kind of an old warehouse with some outdoor parking, maybe 100 cars there.
I was going to say, it's like old military base. That's the vibe.
Yeah. This is Navy Yard situation. Was cruising around. One guy had an absolutely phenomenal 78 Saab 99 Turbo that I was gawking over.
Orange?
No, like kind of graphite gray, silverish. There was a guy sitting near it that looked like he could be the owner. So I kind of sauntered up to him and said, "Hey, is this your car?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "This is absolutely fantastic. It's the best thing here, blah, blah, blah." He said, yeah, it's a good one. And I said, "Yeah, and I work for Bring a Trailer. I don't know if you ever poke around on there." And he just looks at me and said, "Yeah, I mean, I hold 3 Saab world records on there." I was like, "Oh, tell me more." He was like, "Yeah, I mean, 99 EMS.
An orange one. That's why I was at. I think he sold that car.
He's like, "I have the 900 SPG record." And this guy was an absolute beauty of a guy. It's amazing. I love that EMS popped right into your head.
The red is the red SPG, right? That went for some huge, I can't remember the number, it's huge number on that car. That's amazing. I like that he was so dismissive.
The one at the show.
Yeah, of course.
The one at the show is going to be the 4th record whenever he brings it, right?
Let's set it up.
He said that was his personal car.
But that one's not for sale.
It's not for sale, but and maybe could be bought.
It could for a world record price. That's fantastic. I love that. I love the idea of car events in New York. Reed, have you done any car stuff recently? I know we got some exciting stuff coming up, but you got anything that you've done since last time we were on the mic?
Not too major just wrenching on cars and keeping cars running and smog checks and blah, blah, blah. But was at the LA.
We had an amazing...
We can talk about... or did you already talk about the LA event?
I don't think I talked about you and me trying to make it to Burbank Airport in a rush, which was its own amazing story.
That was exciting. A little too much excitement, but the event was one of the most fun BAT events I've been at in a long time. The LA one,
100%.
It was just, it was packed full of people and a lot of stuff I had never seen before, and cars I had never seen before. So anyway, that one is top of mind for me. And then, just the upcoming calendar is what I'm super excited about. But kind of getting back after it. There's a rally leaving out of San Francisco this weekend. Some staffers are on. There's other big events that are starting to take off. April and May start to be good months, don't they?
Totally. Have you ever been to Balmain's Museum?
I have not.
Oh, man, it was great.
I was rifling through that photo gallery.
Good stuff. Wobb's facility was amazing, too. And I would love to say that Howard's back just for our company, but you've got an event coming up, too. So we've got SNOWBALL. We got some of our buddies going on SNOWBALL, and you've got your old event coming up.
Yep. The California Mille kicks off this upcoming Sunday, April 27th. So I'm pumped for that.
What are you driving?
Hoping to be driving a Alpha 1900 Pininfarina Coupe, early 50s Alpha. So if that isn't the first one on the flatbed, then we'll be in good shape.
Ready. I feel like that's a phrase you have either uttered or thought about, or hoping to be driving. Mm-hmm. So big BAT calendar coming up. Next one on deck for us is the Quail Moto event, which we've sponsored a couple of years. I can't remember. Have you gone to one of those, Randy? I have not.
I've never been to the Moto gathering, but our staff is all over it.
We kind of tend to send our Moto guys, which you and I are not, but that is an awesome event, and that is on May 17th. So that's coming up quite soon. I believe the sign up is live for that. And then we have 2 in June, one of which you've gone to before. You want to talk about Zandvoort?
Yeah, we're doing Zandvoort again. We did it last year. It was our first European event, and we're going to be back there this year, which is super exciting, at the F1 circuit in Zandvoort, which some people in the BAT community have driven and talked about and reached out to us. And then we met a bunch of cool folks. We met our next local partner, our Belgian local partner.
Oh, is that where you met them?
That's where we met
Interesting.
them. They like rolled up and said, I want to be a local partner. And we started talking about stuff. So it's always fun to go to new places and see new things and meet new folks. And that event is, I'm trying to think what to compare it to here. I mean, the circuit is the draw there because you see it on TV and stuff, and it's right by the beach, and it's like a really neat environment, but also just sort of size and scope. Yeah, it's like a medium level, but very competitive, right? The Europeans, when they're vintage racing, they're not totally like banging doors, but it's not far off of that. It's very different than a Monterey sort of feel. It's more like East Coast US racing than West Coast. So anyway, super great event, and we hope we get some European listeners out there and BAT bidders and buyers and sellers, but also Americans. Like if you're looking for an excuse to go to a faraway cool car event, that ought to be on your list.
The further east you go, the harder core the vintage racing gets, or maybe the further west you go, the softer it gets.
I think I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm just a spectator, but that kind of seems like that's the reputation.
Well, that's a good segue into our big blowout event, which is going to be at a vintage race in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin, where all three of us will be going, and where Howard, I hope, will be racing. But we've been told the racing is pretty aggro there at the Road America vintage event. You've been before, Howard.
Oh, well, only as a spectator. Is the racing aggro? I haven't heard that. But
that was Elmer's take, wasn't it?
Somebody just told me, like, if you have a West Coast car, you have kind of no business being there or east of there.
Maybe I shouldn't say that to you, Howard. Maybe it doesn't get you
in more modern stuff. I don't know that that's the case, but like in the vintage stuff, I think that's the case.
Yeah, no, part of one of my tasks when I'm back in California is to get the cup car down off the lift, put the spare tires in the car, get it staged and ready to go for the truck to pick it up. So
great. You're going to take it to a track day first? Nope. Straight in.
Nope.
Amazing. That's so fantastic.
I'm trying to find folks to pit with. Not that there's a shortage of kind of regional race support, but I've called a couple of these guys and they're kind of like, yeah, we're full. Yeah, call me in a month or two. I'll have a better idea. So anyways, if you're listening and you want to support a couple,
that's for Road America.
Yep.
Put the shout out here. Somebody will reach out.
Totally.
I just need help with the belts on the pre-grid and maybe a little nut and bolt, and that's about it.
I can't be your mechanic, but I can come help you get strapped in, Howard. I can at least do that part. I know I remember how to do that. It's been a while, but I can probably still do that. I'm really excited for that one. We're going to have about 17 or 18 staffers there. It's 2 nights. This is kind of first for us. So we're sponsoring the evening time. This is largely based on you saying how amazing the downtown Elkhart Lake piece of this weekend is. So we'll be sponsoring the downtown race car parade where all the cars come into downtown.
Yep. Everyone takes over the downtown location, and super quintessential Midwest lake town, and Seepkins is the old classic racer bar. And it's an event unlike any other that I've been to in the US, honestly. And this is about 7 or 8 miles outside of the racetrack down in downtown Elkhart Lake, where the original course used to go through before they built the proper race course in 1957, which is Road America. But yeah, I'm pumped. We're sponsoring that, and we've got our alumni gathering at the track, right?
The next day. Yep, that's exactly right.
On the inside of the back straight, I think is where it's located.
That's right.
A lot of turns on that track. I don't know which turn that is.
We on grass? We on dirt? Out there, Midwest, it's got to be grass. It's got to be a big grass field,
grass,
right?
I think it is.
I remember we did an event there one time ago, and I saw the gallery of that. A huge grassy knoll with all our cars spread across it. So anyway, I'm very excited. I've never visited that circuit in my life, so this will be first time for me.
I am excited about that too. Wisconsin, I love Wisconsin. We were in Iola, and we've done some other stuff there, but this is going to be great. It's going to be a blowout. Very excited. We also just had our Florida event, which none of us went to, but was by all accounts another blowout. So we're having a good run this year.
Biggest headline there is the 250 GTO showed up.
250
What
GTO.
is that about?
Totally.
Interesting.
Did you hear that?
No.
Guys were sending the photo around. It's like a Le Mans class
62 winner. GT class winner at Le Mans. I can't remember the chassis number. Was there.
Color?
Red, blue stripes.
Not BAT alumni.
Not yet. Not yet.
Wow.
No, I don't know. But anyway, that was by all accounts amazing. And our first time in Florida, which obviously a lot of people commented on. We've been trying to get down there for how long? 6, 7 years.
Jupiter, Florida. We made it to Jupiter, Florida.
Shout out to K2, our partner down there who set it all up, and Will,
local partner,
the manager, local partner.
Legit local partner down there.
And everyone singing the praises of Will, the manager there. So great stuff. Any other event talk? You want to chatter about anything else before we dive into the meat of our convo today?
What else is going on? I'm in the Netherlands for an event with our local partner there outside of Amsterdam. We'll be there. That is on the 17th of March also, which I think is the same date as a US one. We're also doing a Euro one. This is like a small cars and coffee sort of event that we're having over there, which we're excited about. Look for an update on that.
Wait, not March, 17th of...
Sorry, May.
May. I say, okay, gotcha.
May.
Oh, same day as the Quail. Oh,
same day as the Quail, like other side of the earth. I don't think those will conflict too much. But anyway, yeah, so cool stuff going on. I'm excited to get back over there. And then, yeah, the calendar is just rolling.
Yes, correct.
Stuff to do. So come join us. Come meet us. If you have a suggestion for another event, whatever you got, reach out to us.
And more to announce, too, in the back half of the year. I think we're going to end up with over 10 official events this year. So pretty great stuff. And we love, obviously, seeing everybody. Okay, so the meat of the convo today is a topic that Howard's wanted to talk about for about a year. And so I didn't want to miss this opportunity of him being in the office. Affordable 21st century performance. Howard, tell me about how you came up with the idea, why you wanted to chat about this.
Honestly, this is just such a natural part of our daily, weekly discussion around the office, seeing cars sell every day for, and we can define what affordable means, but
Totally.
I feel every single day we have stuff going through and you say, man, like I could have bought that for $21,500. And then on the other spectrum, there's stuff that you think is like nuts and, the value prop maybe is lower, but all of us are chatting and texting each other every week, talking about this stuff going through and kind of the evolving market and what can be had for prices that you might think are lower than possible. So I'd love to chat about what's on my mind for that. Alex, I think you got a list of some sleepers there.
I do. I have a long list of things that came to my brain, but I'll preface this by saying people are going to probably be like, oh my God, I thought of 50 other cars that are affordable from the 21st century that are kind of performance cars. Randy and I were talking about B5 Audis today. Is a 1.8T a performance car, Randy?
It has a turbo on it. It does. So it had a sport package.
Was it a Quattro too?
Yeah.
Okay.
For me, it's just like what I would consider some of these like kind of price dislocations in the market. Like for 15 grand is getting you into like, still takes 15 to buy a nice Saturn Ion Redline.
Oh my God. Yeah,
or
totally.
a nice 10-year-old Mini Cooper S.
I've got the Solstice Sky kind of towards the end of my list. That's the thing to talk about.
Like a Baja Turbo, a nice one. You're not getting that for less than $13,500. By the way, this is not my list of affordable classics. My point is, if you bump up the price point 5 or 10 grand, right, you get into a nice black 04 Z06 for 25 grand.
Totally. I mean, in fact, maybe that's as good a place to start as any. The first thing that came to my brain, I don't know if it did to you guys, is Corvettes, like C5, C6 Corvette, particularly C5. That's the first place I went.
So hold on. What year are we talking? You guys are throwing out like the names of centuries. Like what?
2004, 2000 to today.
2000 all the way to today. Anything in that range.
Most of the stuff. Right. So we could talk about affordability. Most of the stuff that came to my brain and I looked at is like really the 2000s and maybe the beginning of the 2010s, because once you get into the 2020s, even like those are relatively new cars, and even the like things that are maybe on the margins of performance aren't actually that cheap
and
anymore.
obviously the dreams define something with a ton of miles but great service history, so you get the full mileage discount, don't have to pay for any other service, and that's the dream. So that some of this will be based on that fantasy scenario.
Correct. Some of these cars, like for instance the C5 Z06 range, I mean, those cars are like all over the place. We've sold some for a C5 Z06. We've sold some for like 60 grand, right? Because they're really, really nice ones with like 1,000 miles.
But forget the no miles. Like, let's talk about real world. Cars got 68,000 miles on it.
I mean, up till like 2022, a C5 Z06, they were like 20 grand all day long, right, Howard, for 405 horsepower.
Great. You want to talk 60 to 90K miles? Let's start with 05 to 07 Continental GTs. I mean,
right over.
So hold on. What's the cheapest Continental GT we've sold?
I have like 25 model pages of it right now. Continental GTs.
One of those for 30 grand?
Yeah, less. Yeah. And that's the thing about Bentleys, man. Bentleys all have miles, which is great. A number of them, mid 20s. And we've had some bid twos under 20.
Oh, man.
And we've listed a lot of those with 100,000 plus on the clock.
How can you sell that car and it goes for like 21,000?
Right.
Like,
you want an 05 Wrangler for 20, or do you want an 05 CGT for 22? Because that's like a real question.
That's amazing. We've had some results recently for like, you're not kidding, Howard, like shockingly cheap.
And they haven't really moved in a long time.
Here's a Japanese market 06 Bentley Continental GT in Canada for 19 grand. That was sold less than 2 weeks
Dude, but
ago.
you also said a Japanese market in Canada.
Well, but that's what Howard's talking about. He's talking
what a
about
resume
the
that car
discounts.
has.
the discounts. That is well, hold on. That's the second Japanese market Bentley Continental GT in Canada that we've sold in the last 2 weeks.
Who's pulling those in? What's the trade?
The other one was 24 grand.
Oh man, I just pulled up. Yeah, I mean, there's just devastating things like a 2010 M6 for
great
9
one.
grand. How recently was that? It's bidding. It's got a little bit of time
okay.
left, but man, do you
I forgot. I didn't even think about 6 Series. That's another good one.
Oh man,
This is exactly what I opened with. You're looking like, oh, 10 M6? Can get this for 11,750?
yeah,
Totally.
you can.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
That's amazing.
I mean, but everybody's going to say, oh, you guys are talking about it, but it's suicide, right? Like nobody'd ever do that.
I don't think that's true. I mean, you get into the non-Z06 C5. So like I like the fixed roof coupes, the pre-Z06. It's like got the fixed roof and the short back window, but it's not a Z06.
Nice little Z51, but a stripper.
That's still, you can still get a nice one for 10 grand right now, today, if you want one. 10 or 12 grand for one of those. They're all 6 speeds. They're 350 horsepower. They don't weigh that much. They're all Z51s. Like,
some of those have been just crushed by their
100%.
owners,
100%.
right? I mean, they're just like a disaster vehicle, but some of them are great. Some of them are just like I say, a driver, 60 to 80,000 miles, and the dude who had it or the lady who had it just drove it around. Like that's not that big a deal.
They built
But
2,000
some
of them. There's nice ones and
track
brands.
rat, like
Totally.
avoid.
But that's what Howard's saying. When you want to find the one that's like right between the two, it's got miles,
Sweet
but
spot,
somebody
yeah.
kept it stock. So you get the mile discount without the kind of track rat discount.
Mm-hmm.
For more like luxury cars, stuff like older Panameras and S550s, even like
Oh
the
my God.
07, 08
Howard's all over.
S65s. Like that was like a 200K car new.
I was looking at R230s, like all of the V8 folding hardtop Mercedes. Again, 15K, 12K.
Okay, 20. These are real results. I'm going through the results page. This is today, 2012 650i convertible sport loaded 24,000 miles, sold for 25 grand.
There you go.
What's the HPs on that?
I don't know, but that's so much car.
That's a V8. It's a 650.
Be everything. I don't even know. I don't know what's in it anymore, but it doesn't matter because it's a paddle shift or whatever it is. But it's a cruise around car, and man, it's so much for 25 grand. 25 grand is like a new what?
Yes.
Anything?
Also in the
No, I don't think you can get anything for that cheap.
Also in the 25 and under, talking about Audi S5 RS5, which is a very cool car.
Yes.
Yes, it is.
Great looking car. And I've driven, my old man had an RS5 actually. Awesome. I mean, you can pick up one of those with 80,000 miles for what? 19 to 22?
Probably. I was looking at RS4s, the 07, 08 RS4s, and
Those are cheap.
those are, so you can pay a lot again for like a low mileage perfect one, but cheap for like 18, 19 grand for like that's 420 horsepower revving V8 manual.
Here's a card. Let's peel it back to performance a little bit. This car is bright yellow, also sold today. 09 370Z 6-speed.
Got him on my list.
Sold for 12.5.
Wow.
That is a super cool car.
Yes, I agree.
12.5?
I also think, I mean, I'm sure 350s are even cheaper, right? If
The 83 Camaro beneath it sold for 17.5. So you get the discount on the 370Z.
Price dislocations, people. The other thing in the 370Z family, which I always liked, was a nice G37 coupe 6-speed Infiniti.
yes, totally.
Okay.
You want to talk IPL spec on those that were an 11? Like those are dirt cheap.
Chewbacca exhaust. I can still hear one of those when they go past. You know what I'm talking about?
I do.
That Nissan is.
I haven't ever heard that term, but now I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, you've heard those cars go past before. But yeah, 370Z, I've always really liked them. And yeah, I mean, I'm looking at them. Here's a supercharged one for 18 grand. Here's another one.
Just on the price, though, that one that sold today, what an incredible deal.
I know, totally.
And like 04 R32s are still pretty strong for a nice one, but you go to like an 08, the second gen. So what's an 04 Mark 4 or 5?
Yes, the Mark V.
Those are cheap.
But then you go to the 08s and
Those are fast, too.
fast. What is that? A 3.2 non-turbo? I don't even know.
I think the Mark V, I just saw one the other day and was talking about how rare it was. I think it's the Same powertrain. So it's still the V6, NA V6 and all-wheel drive.
Yeah.
250 horse, something like that. They also have a cool sound.
But that's like mid-teens.
Totally.
Maybe less with 160K on the clock.
Here's what, Howard, for you. This is kind of maybe one of the more oddball ones that came up for me. I always liked these. The first generation CTS-V, which is a Corvette LS2 and a 6-speed and 400 horsepower or whatever. And I was looking those up, and they're like 20 grand for a really nice low mile one.
Oh, I thought they're less.
Oh, I'm sure you can get like one with high miles for less than that.
This first gen, the interiors are horrific, but those are cool cars.
It's just Corvette powertrain in a sedan. If we're talking about non-sports cars, they're horrific.
And you know what's even crazier? A nice XLRV is like 10 to 15 grand more than a CTS.
Those are a lot. I just scrolled past one of those, and I wasn't going to mention it because the price was actually, those are pretty expensive cars.
What about a
RV? Yeah, 2006, one just didn't meet reserve at $30K. I was like, wow, those are much more expensive than the sedan.
But you can get like a mid-mile XLR for like 14.
Which is, I think, essentially a C6 Corvette, but with a North Star instead. With a North Star instead of a LS.
XLR. That's Boca Jupiter spec. A lot of those
showed up at K2 last weekend.
Preferably gold.
Oh, man, that's so good. Oh, Howard, you're dropping all kinds of heat. I didn't think of any of these. I have a really weird list, but none of these crossed over. Another one that's really cheap that I was looking at are the C-Class Mercedes era. It's early 2000s. That's both the supercharged V6 or the V8, the AMG version. C32s and C55. They're the same body,
no one
but
those.
Two different engines. I like them.
I like them too.
Here's the last four results on those: 17 grand, 7 grand, 13,750, and 15,500.
That 7 grand one was a dog. What happened on that one? 200,000.
Probably.
Yeah.
But love those cars. I like them in the V8 and the supercharged V6.
I do.
What else, Howard? What else comes to your brain?
If you step up the price point a little bit, like non-R 15 to 17 GT350, those are getting cheap. Those are like dipping into the 30s now.
Ooh, that's a car. I was like, that's the flat plane crank.
First couple of years.
What's that, like 17, 16, something?
I mean, you could get it, I think 15 was the first year they rolled out the GT350.
Man, I've always liked those a lot. That's for a non-R, which is what I would want anyways.
And those are cool.
Those are super cool. In that same price point, I was looking at C6 Corvettes too. Z06s are still, 40-ish for a nice one, something like that, Howard? For a C6 Z06, 500 horsepower, that's a 200 mile an hour car that you can get for about 40 grand.
And I feel like the difference between like an 09 up to like a 15, like vets are pretty flat in those years. So it's a ton of options and something that really pays off if you hunt around and find the one you want.
Didn't you drive one of those, Randy? A C6 Z06? I've never driven one, but I always liked it. A C6 Z06.
I didn't drive a Z06.
I thought your family friend had one. Oh, okay.
I drove a normal one. I Turoed one in LA. You remember when I did that?
Oh.
Yeah, I Turoed it.
Just a standard C6?
Yeah.
With an auto or a stick?
No, stick.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was fantastic.
I mean, those cars are like 11.5 in the quarter, like 3.2 seconds, 60, they go 200 miles an hour, and you can have it for 40 grand. It's crazy.
Another thing that may be as scary as a C32 or C55 is like 02, 03 Aston DB7s.
Oh, that's before the V8 comes out. Is that
firmly in the 20s and like pretty cool. Cool car. Or you can get like a later like DB9 Volante 07, 8. And that's still kind of 25, 30-ish.
Vantages were pretty cheap for a while. I don't know if that's changed. Where's the market there, Howard? A little bit. They were mid-20s.
07, 08s are a little more expensive. Zach could probably tell us why, but the earlier ones, 05, 06 are cheaper. They kind of start at 30.
One of the other things that I kept thinking about as I was looking through cars is what are the makes and models where you get the big discount for vert or auto, right? So I was looking at 996s, right?
And like for nothing.
Totally.
Yes.
Totally. If you can live with the convertible or the automatic or both, then it's like half what a 6-speed or a coupe is worth.
That's an interesting question. I like that.
Yeah. 996 is one where I was thinking about it. There are a couple cars where you get the Tiptronic discount or the convertible discount.
I mean, our RS4 cabs may be part of that.
Totally. I don't think
I could be seen in one of those.
I know that's tough.
But
could you do RS4 vert, Randy, or do you need sedan?
I don't know if I can do that. You can do that if you have, I don't know, beach house somewhere and some sort of reason, but come on, RS4 sedan.
Or you want to spend 12, 13 grand, get a nice little like mid-late 2000s Z4 Roadster, even with the 3-liter.
Yes.
It's not a bad car.
That's also coupe and vert. Can you get the non-M coupe for about the same as the vert?
But the crazy, if you step into like a really nice Z4M, like 06, 07, then you might be paying 2 or 3x what the just stripper Z4 is. So is that worth it?
Well, maybe Randy's enough of a BMW. So there's a high revving version of that 3-liter non-M engine that makes more power in those. It's like 250 horse or something.
Yeah, they had like an IS version in a lot of different models, including the Z4s, I think, right? You could get like the sport model.
Were you at BMW still when those came out?
What year are we talking?
05?
Oh,
06,
everything. I was. I didn't leave till 2010.
Okay, interesting.
So yeah, I was around for the release of those cars, driving them around, cruising them around, fixing them.
How about, Howard, you were talking about some kind of a red line Saturn, but the Saturn Sky red lines are dirt cheap. So are Solstices. Solstices are under 10 grand.
Yeah, just get me a neon SRT4, man. Those are still cool.
No mufflers.
Those are a lot now. Nice one's a lot.
I don't think those are still cool.
No?
Do I have them cool? I will concede that they were cool at one time, but
maybe the memory is
like,
better than.
Is that like an adult riding a BMX bike? Like BMX bikes are cool, but you see an adult on it and you're kind of like,
that has to be a teenager.
That's a problem.
That's fair.
Right?
Is that his child's car?
I love them. I'm not degrading it, just like I'm not degrading BMX bikes, but like that thing was a moment in time, right? And it's like, I don't know. It's tricky. Sometimes that's a tricky balance to walk.
Or a nice little city car would be good. Like for you have a kid coming up getting his license soon. This is maybe not for him, but like a little stripper BMW 128 coupe 6-speed.
Yes.
Those are great cars.
What more do you need?
As in the family, my dad and my sister, they're all big believers in the 1 Series.
Yeah, Ellen Nonnenberg spec. His was blue and it was a normally not a turbo car, right?
I don't know. I think that may be a turbo. But anyway, those are pretty cool.
Does he still has it?
Oh, yeah. He still has
interesting.
It. I'll drive that thing forever.
That's amazing. Is it stick or an automatic?
It's an auto.
That's great.
Yep.
And then if it speaks to you, there's like a ton of options in the like 09 to 15 Challenger Camaro world.
Oh, man.
I don't know if we're ready to go there and probably wouldn't be near the top of my list, but you can get, a lot of car in those eras.
Educate us. It was a 392. What's the biggest motor you can get for?
Oh, man, you can go
$0.
You can go with or without the Scat Pack. That might be a later. That's your favorite, Alex.
I love a Scat Pack.
A little Scat Challenger.
Yep, that's right.
But yeah, I mean, they only made 5 million of those combined, so no wonder that they're readily available.
Mm-hmm.
What happens to the two of you when I say the word Chrysler Crossfire?
I was just looking at one.
Were you really?
Do you see the one that sold like 2 days ago?
No, I didn't see that one. But do you know how many we've listed? If you had to guess, how many Crossfires?
Yep. I mean, I would guess
38.
I would say more like 200. Yeah.
How many?
Right in between you guys, 142 Crossfires have been on Bring a Trailer.
Man.
Coupes, verts, SRTs, all the different.
I'm not subscribed to that category, so I don't keep a finger on the pulse on that category, but I just did scroll by. I'm trying to look at this era and actual results that have happened on BAT, and one sold for what, like 13.5, and it's perfect.
I mean, yes, there's also they came in a stick. So this was yesterday. A 37,000 mile non-SRT, just normally aspirated one, but with a 6-speed, a coupe, sold for $9,500.
I don't love Crossfire. Another question is, what's the mileage threshold on a Crossfire to get a reserve? It's low. It might be 6,000 or less.
Ooh, that's a little insight. That's a little market insight right there.
The last one with a reserve was in January. So we've had 4, 8,
That's
12.
a tough car to roll in and say, I got to get my number.
We've had 15 straight at no reserve. So props to the curation team. The SRT, I believe, is the same engine as that C32. I think it's the supercharged V6 out of that Mercedes. I think it's the same motor.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. 05 Crossfires and 01 Cherokees needing an 18.5 reserve is a fast track to not selling. But that's a conversation we have to have.
Clearly quite often with 142 having been on the site.
Truth bombs.
One car we haven't brought up yet is Miata NCs are probably the buy. What do you think, Howard?
Tell me more. What era is the NC again?
Previous to the current one. So this is, I think, about 05 to 15, maybe something like that. The one I like is the one that has the power retractable hardtop. And I think you can get a nice one of those for in the teens or even maybe around 10 grand.
First gen Miatas are like nice ones are on par with NCs now.
Correct. NCs might be cheaper even than the 1990 cars, which is fascinating.
Right. What's a great 04 Mazda speed? I mean, that might be 25.
Oh, they're probably up, right?
Low
People
mile.
want those, right? That's the second gen still with the turbo on it. Randy, what are you scrolling past right now?
I'm scrolling past all sorts of results that are just magical. 09 Saab 9.3 Sport Vert.
Oh, 9.3.
Oh, interesting. What's a
Yellow sold for 17. I mean, it seems like all these cars, there's like a 10 grand to 22.5, which is a 90% swath of the market.
Yes.
So many of these cars that we're listing. Like if you have 18 grand to spend on a car, like the world is yours.
Totally.
Go get whatever you want.
It's your oyster.
Which is so crazy. Turbos or V8s or sedans or convertibles or whatever you want.
A couple other cars on my list that are right squarely in that zone are first gen WRXs, not STIs, but just the wagon or sedan in the normal WRX. I can get a nice one for in that price range. V70 and S60Rs. That's another one. You can get those with that weird manual transmission.
Dude, V70Rs hold their value incredibly well. Guys come in with a 170,000 mile car and it's still 17.5 all day.
But they're like always 17.5, right? That's like the permanent number for them.
That's why this topic I love so much, because there's all these forgotten models and we're like 40 minutes in, we're like, dude, Saab 9.3s?
Yeah.
You know, exactly.
Yeah. What's a good Vigan? What's a Vigan? I've always wanted a Vigan.
Vigans are on.
Is that
on the
Moto's
If you had a low mile Vigan, you'll get 35 grand for that, won't you?
Whoa.
But like a 9.3 turb 6-speed, like, is a cool car. Is it a cool car?
It's cool enough.
And it's 15,250.
I'm holding two really weird ones in reserve. What else do you guys got?
Oh, you want us to try to guess? Or what's the country of origin and era?
They're both Japanese and they're both kind of forgotten. And one of them we've only listed two ever.
Is one a Honda product?
No,
Mm.
neither are Honda products.
Are you going weirdo? Like, where are you going? Mitsubishi. Where
It's not a Mitsu. You know what? I looked up Evo. Evos hold their value. Evos are pretty expensive actually for what they are, I think, kind of. And STIs get a lot of money too. No, so one of them, and this is really weird. I don't even know. Howard will probably remember this. This is from reading too many car mags in the aughts, is the Altima SER, the Nissan Altima SER, which
totally.
was like the fastest front wheel drive car of the day. It's like
Have we ever listed on?
two only.
Oh, okay.
They're 6-speed only, 300 horsepower front wheel drive. They've probably all rusted
Oh my
rusted
gosh, who
into the
knows where
earth.
they are?
We've had two. One sold for 16 grand, 44,000 mile. And the other one,
16K something
Yeah.
for that car.
that was in
Wow.
23. And then we listed one in October of last year that didn't meet reserve at 9 grand.
What was sticker on those new? I wonder.
Oh, I bet the 44K mile car has the window sticker if I went and looked at it. I bet they were about 35 grand would be my guess.
Yes, that's so much money.
We don't have the window sticker on that one,
So much money
unfortunately.
for one of those.
I mean, it was like the top of the line Nissan product. You know what I mean? That was like a 350Z motor, but sideways. More
Mm.
Chewbacca.
Mm.
Talking about Japanese and a ton of car for the money is first year ISFs.
Mm.
Oh, what are those down? I
Another
really like those.
forgotten gem.
Those are a forgotten gem.
We haven't listed one in a while. What was that? Maybe 08 that came out?
I think that's right. They've got the stacked exhaust. That's what I always remember. I'm always looking for. It's actually kind of hard to tell one apart from a regular IS.
IS 300 was great.
Totally.
Chrono
Mhm.
dash.
Shack, yeah.
Yep. The wags and then manual wags. Last weirdo one that I'm holding in my back pocket, and these are quite cheap, is the Mazda Speed 6.
Oh, yeah.
Remember those?
I totally
All-wheel
remember.
drive Mazda 6
Mhm.
with a pretty big turbocharged 4-cylinder.
Mhm.
And I think they're manual only.
Mazda
Another car.
3 is also could be just absolutely crazy torque steer on those.
Totally.
Not in a good way. But the Speed 6 is interesting.
Something cool was behind the scenes at Mazda Speed. We should, whoever knows in the BAT community, like who was the product manager for Mazda Speed and like argued with people to get those cars to go to market. We want to interview.
And then
that
it got
person.
fired.
And totally got run out of town. Like zoom, the whole thing. Like we want to talk to that person. I would love to pick their brain about how that worked.
Mazda Speed 3 is a great, like I hadn't even thought about that. I totally want to talk to that person.
Totally. I love the Mazda brand. I'm such a fan.
Yeah, man. Do you remember reading the articles about these, Howard? They had to limit the torque in like first and second gear to try to handle that horrible torque steer.
I just remember when I was an employee at Car and Driver magazine in 2011, 2012, we had like the new Mazda Speed 3 and I drive that around and didn't love it, but it was cool.
Why didn't you love it?
I was put off by the torque. Maybe I was just being a 22-year-old moron and like stomping on the gas and like feeling like it was unwieldy.
I mean, the last 4 of these that we've sold, 08 Mazda Speed 3, $7,200. Original owner 2010 Mazda Speed 3, $7,800. Original owner 2010 Mazda Speed, another one for $4,800.
That's too cheap.
And then a 30,000 mile 07 Mazda Speed 3 for 13.
Yes, just to put a pin on that, like in 2011, I think I more frequently jumped in the Nissan Juke 6-speed, which was a delightful car.
Oh, that's
And
interesting.
left the
Take
Speed
that
3 sitting there.
back. Take that back. Have we ever listed a Juke? Tell me we've never.
Oh,
listed
I'm
a
sure
Juke.
we have. I'm sure we
Another
have.
sleeper, man. I don't even know if we have we?
Well, they made some race cars and stuff, didn't they? No.
Not out of that.
We've listed a jukebox.
We've never listed a
No
okay.
jukes.
All right. That
reputation
reputation
is
is still intact.
Is your faith restored and
Yes.
powered?
It
Okay,
is still intact. Thank you, curation department.
That's rare to find a model with 0 results.
Totally. When my wife was pregnant with our first kid and I had to sell my S2000, I was like, hey, take a look at this car. And I showed her a Juke with the 6-speed and a turbo. And she was like, no, thank you. Not interested.
High five for her next time I see her.
Totally.
Come on, that Nismo badge didn't do it justice.
Totally. Totally. I think Randy brought this up. We haven't talked about it. We should, even though it's like such an obvious answer. But Boxsters are so cheap. Randy, you were saying, $9,000 for a Boxster S, or
I don't follow them super close. Let's pull that up.
They bottomed and are going back up a
Are
little
they
bit.
going back up? But there's got to be some generation that's still in free fall. now.
a non-S 986 is still really cheap for a nice one. But even an S is like $15,000 for a nice one for a 986. And then even 987s aren't that bad, right? Howard, Cayman and Boxster.
Yeah, but is owning a 97 Boxster with some miles, is that a death sentence or that's all right?
So here's a question. All of these are fascinating. And again, huge swath of them is between 10 and 20 grand. But is there any one of these that they're not on the downslide? Because they all got here because they were on the downslide. But are any of these you buy it and like in 10 years, people are going to be like, I can't believe you got that car. Or is everybody going to be, they're on the downside and they're still making their way
Crossfires might be on the downside.
They're headed to $2,000. It's just you're catching it on the way down.
Not
Are
Boxsters,
these
probably.
bottomed out and are going places? Your first gen CTS-V sedan, I mean, are those ever going to be 30?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I mean, some of these cars we're talking about, because I think we can't imagine that it ever go lower. And that's why they're jumping off the page. I go back to a super nice C5, C6, Z06. Is that poised for some appreciation, or they made so many of them that this is just their natural resting place?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's a finite number of really good ones at some point, right? And that probably turns things around. People start getting excited about the good ones, and then the mediocre ones kind of get lifted by the same forces.
0203 DB7 Vantage Coupe 6-speed. I think that's a car like, if that was 45, 50 grand in a couple of years, is anyone going to look at that cross-eyed? Probably not.
Yeah. I don't know. Is there anything that comes to your mind that's still on the downslide that's not a Solstice or a Crossfire?
I would say your Altima call, those are headed for the boneyard. I mean, those are good.
There's none of those. There's none. They don't exist. I mean, I think they built a ton of Boxsters, right? And so they get dragged up by the rest of the
911s are too
Porsches,
insane. So
right.
yeah, people have
like 996s used to be cheap, and I thought we would have a discussion about 996s here, and it's like actually it's like 30 grand for like a nice C2 coupe, like non-GT, non-turbo.
But that can't be 15 grand anymore, right? I mean,
They're not.
It can't be.
They're not, but there's still a lot
But
of
it
them.
also
and,
shouldn't be. I mean, it's too
agreed, but I think that's not cheap performance anymore, right?
No,
30
not
grand.
anymore.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
you're right.
S281 Celine Mustang. Is that good
Bring me.
performance per dollar?
Fuel economy does not score points,
Ready-
but everything else does.
Ready, you'll take 2, please.
Mhm.
That's interesting. Like tuner tech cars. Like, I was excited to hear you say that the flat plane crank Mustang, the GT350s are cheaper because I've always really liked those.
Yes.
That's a great one. What else, boys?
I'm just scrolling through the Boxster category. It's like whiplash.
There's
You hit like
so
a
much.
2024 and it's like $200,000 for some special stuff. And then you're like 8,300 for a 2000 Boxster 5-speed.
Totally.
8,300, dude.
Yes.
It sold.
You can
it
still
sold
get 'em-
last week.
You
and
can
it's
still
like
get them cheap.
it's a good spec and it's
Yep.
$8,300.
Yep. If you'll take the 5-speed, the 5-speed non-S.
Oh yeah, I didn't look. Yeah, because here's one that's like I can't even imagine it got through on the website, and it's because it's a Tiptronic. It's
Yeah.
up for 4,100.
There you go.
That's unbelievable.
But like, what's amazing about that car is for $4,100, that's still a mid-engine Porsche chassis with a Porsche 6-cylinder in it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a convertible. I mean, it's pretty wild.
That is wild.
Yeah.
$4,000.
Yeah. Is that a performance car?
It is. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. You're skeptical. I think absolutely.
No, it is. I agree with you. Great topic, Howard. I feel like we could go on forever about it. And
so
there's
many
probably
cars
so
in
many
that.
things that people are thinking of that we didn't even.
Yeah, I want to hear about it because I'm telling you, that is a huge swath of what's going through both BAT and just out in the market.
When Howard first brought this up, the first thing I thought of is like, what's the maximum? Like, because performance can mean a bunch of things, right? Like that Tiptronic Boxster would still probably be pretty fun on a back road. But what's the like most HP you can get for the cheapest? That what was it? An M6 for $9,000? That's like 500 horsepower for $9,000 or whatever. Like that's crazy.
We need that as a leaderboard on BAT, like dollars per HP.
Dollars for HP.
You'd used to think that like bad old muscle cars with huge V8s in them or something, but now it's this era. It's like 2000s twin turbo V8, whatever.
Mercedes
sedan. Yeah, it
AMGs or
sells
whatever.
for $7,100,
Totally.
right? Like that's
Totally.
got to be where the HP per dollar is.
Yeah, or a little higher. What would be like a beater, like 09 GTR, talking about twin turb? I guess that's 6-cylinder.
Oh, that's interesting.
GTR? Oh, Nissan.
Yeah.
GTR. Those aren't cheap though, are they?
I don't know.
They're not 20s, but
But
I
they've
don't
also
know
got-
that we've had a 16-year-old one. We've had some newer ones.
It used to be that you could get, when I first worked here, 996 turbos were pretty cheap, especially
Yeah.
with a Tiptronic.
38 grand.
That's kind of over,
Is
but
that-
like that was a lot
Yeah,
of
that's over now.
performance for pretty cheap dollars.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, what's that? That's an R35. What's our lowest R35 result? Under 50. They sell for under 50.
And those
We've had
have
a
how
couple-
many horsepower?
I think 600 horsepower or something like that, Howard.
A lot.
550 maybe.
Crazy. And then, yeah, people pump them up to 900 plus.
Our most recent one is a modified 09 that sold for 56. And if it's modified, you know it's HP.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a little high. That's a little outside of our affordable discussion.
Yeah, totally. But it is interesting. I mean, once you start talking about dollars per HP,
I think that's a hilarious metric. I
Yeah.
wonder if that should be under every photo on BAT is dollars per.
then you have to add like the fear factor to it. Like if it's a,
Then you have a 21 window bus, which is 200 grand for 39 horsepower.
totally.
That one is in the different.
Or something like first gen Cayenne Turbo. Those are aging well, I
Mhm.
think, and some not insignificant HP
Totally.
stats.
Totally.
Cayenne GTS 6-speeds, like those bottomed last year, and people were scooping those up for under 20 with
Wow.
a ton of miles. But that's a legit cool sport activity vehicle.
Totally. I took my mom to Porsche of San Luis Obispo this weekend.
What the heck for?
Well, she wants a new car and she wants a BMW X3. And I was like, at least go drive a Macan. And interestingly, both the BMW dealership and the Porsche dealership have no new inventory. So they've moved their used inventory out front so that it doesn't look like their dealership is empty
Interesting. Why can't they get any inventory?
because everyone's scared of the tariffs. So they've stopped shipping cars.
Lovely.
So totally
Time to buy used cars. Time to buy
Well, they-
old
At
Boxsters.
the BMW dealership, they were drooling. They were like so excited to make a sale. But at the Porsche dealership, they were a little more calm and even keeled.
What does she want? You're going to get her a Macan or something?
She was like very skeptical of it. And then she drove one and she was like, oh, this is,
2-year-old Macan.
yeah, probably. They have a couple new ones still, but she loved it. Had a Mojave beige interior. It was
Jave.
Mojave. So it was a client who'd ordered, but then they didn't take delivery. It was a $97,000 4-cylinder Macan. She'd got like every option you can get.
Wow.
I know. Wild.
My mom's still driving her 17 Macan S. Has
Great.
like 50,000. Talk about something.
Great if we're helping the Macan market right now because everybody's mom drives the. Is that what that rig is? Honestly?
Fantastic car, though.
They
Yeah.
are fantastic.
I'm getting a little scared of it now. I mean, it's coming up on 10 years. I
Yep.
don't think that age as well, but
Yep.
maybe the 4-cylinder would be better.
I ran one in Palm Springs and I loved it. I was like ready to convert. Like,
There is
hand over
no
keys.
substitute for your mom.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
She took it into the dealer. She's like, isn't too car literate, but in a nice way. And they gave her an estimate and told her she needed brakes and rotors. And they wrote her up like an $18,000 RO. She was like, you should take a look at this. Like, should I do this? I was like, do not do this. whatever you do.
This is Mill Valley. This is Sonnen. Formerly Sonnen Porsche. Still called Sonnen, or Sonnen? They cashed out. It's Huzula.
No, now it's just Porsche Marin.
Porsche Marin.
They're like, we can't get fresh inventory, but we'll make money.
Yeah. 18 G's for a set of brake pads. Okay.
But how many little old ladies in Marin County are going in there and they're like, all right,
Yeah, great.
do that. Yep. Valve cover, gasket. Sure. Another $4,000.
Motor mounts, transmission mount.
Our whole conversation has basically been about how you can spend $18,000 in a very different way than
She could get a Boxster for that. Or she could get her Macan service.
4 Tiptronic Boxsters. Just every time one breaks, you throw it in a dumpster. You
That'd
got
actually be an amazing driveway. It's 4 Tiptronic Boxsters, and you're all in under 20.
or get the brake serviced on your
That's-
Macan.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing.
But yeah, the other part of this whole combo today is like, what happens when something goes wrong and you get your service bill that's basically equivalent to your price of entry.
Yeah.
100%. That's a factor.
Yeah.
Boy, some of
Worst case scenario occurring there, but it happens.
Welcome to Volkswagen ownership.
Totally.
Yep.
The first thing that Randy brought up, that like BMW that's all cheap, or the AMGs that I brought up, it's because people are anticipating that first service bill. Totally.
B5 A4,
Correct.
buy the car for $6,000. First repair bill, $9,500. It's like it's clockwork.
You've bought the
They're
car
great.
twice.
Yeah, but they're so good. Well, that's why you get in so cheap, right?
That's fantastic.
Well done. I think we did this topic justice, Alex.
I think we did, but I think we still want to hear from the audience of
There's
all the things we
something
were
that
missing.
missing. What are we missing? I don't know. I mean, we said GM, right? We said all the vets. I don't really know Camaros of that era.
Is there a cheaper way to go 200 miles an hour than a C6 Z06?
200?
Do those M5 and M6s, they go almost that fast, I think, if you take the limiter out. Those 500 horsepower V10 cars.
Sure. I mean, I'm sure they're capable. The question is where and how they would pull that off.
I'm just like, I'm curious about those kinds of statistics. Also, I think Howard mentioned those twin turbo AMG Mercedes with like 700 pound-feet of torque. Like these wild things that were so expensive when they were new and are so cheap now. Bentley Continental GT is another interesting example of that.
Mm-hmm.
What are we missing? Maybe like mid 2000s, Lincoln LS V8? Those? I think they made those with a manual.
Oh, yeah.
Cool, right
The
there.
one that was the same platform as a Jaguar S-Type.
There you
And a Ford Thunderbird.
Oh, gosh.
The V8 Thunderbird, retro Thunderbird, a car that did not come up in this description because I don't know if that's a performance car. But those are cool. I like those a lot. There's cheap Jags. Like what is the supercharged V8 XKR? Those are probably super cheap.
Whatever.
right?
It was sold yesterday. You scroll. I was
You're
just
already looking at it.
No, I was looking when I was scrolling. I didn't bring up. Yeah, I mean XKR, XK8.
But the XKR is like,
J, not XK, XJ sedans,
oh, yeah.
and those are cheap.
But the XKs, the Vert sports car thing is like 375 horsepower.
Remember last year when we had that crazy run of those XJR portfolio editions that all went for like 90 to 100K plus? I don't know what that was about, or maybe we haven't had those since, but that was like a moment in time.
There was like a run on the market of the portfolio.
Yeah.
I had
You can get an XKR portfolio Vert, and that's like a cool, cheap car.
Yeah.
That's also Jupiter Boca spec.
Totally. They're all down there. Great stuff. Well, Howard, it's a great topic. Appreciate you bringing it to this table. I'm sorry it took so long for us to get to it, but it's a good one.
We missed high mile Panoz Esperantes, and what else did we miss today?
Oh my gosh, do we have that?
You know,
on
that's
offer?
I mean,
you can pick one of those up for under 30.
when I was looking at results, I was kind of trying to go right down the middle, but there's a whole other thing where it's like, this is a car that's actually usually pretty expensive, but if you find the right example of it, it gets cheap. Right.
Mm.
There's that.
Ram SRT 10 4-door with miles. Those are having a bottoming event.
They're such a narrow, deep cut. I love that.
The two doors still bring some cash, but people don't really want the 4
the
doors.
4 doors. Yeah,
Yeah, that's great. Well, thanks, gentlemen. I appreciate you doing this.
that's great.
For all of you who listen, we would love to hear what we missed. There's a lively discussion to be continued here, I think. We appreciate, as always, your listenership. Please send any feedback or additional. Abarth 500s.
That's a cool looking car. I think. Some people don't like
Another
this.
no muffler car.
Another
it's in
exhaust.
the
That'd be a problem.
SRT neon.
2013. Just to tell everybody, 2013 Fiat Abarth 500, 17,000 miles on it. White wheels, red mirror caps. That's a cool car.
Oh, I always thought of that. I thought I was going to get some retribution from you, so I kept mum's the word. But you like those?
I actually think that's a cool car.
I like them. You can hear
They're boring in some colors, but this one, I mean, if that was parked outside, you're like, okay, that doesn't look like a Kia, like everything else that's sold today. That looks like it's actually interesting.
I think they're cool.
Yep.
I've always liked them.
Or a question for the audience: where does a first-year Bentayga bottom? We have not seen it yet. I think those
Where is
might.
it today?
I mean, it's rapidly declining. I think those might bottom in like the low 50s when it's all said and done.
Holy moly.
But why would they bottom? Like, why don't they go to 30?
Exactly.
They could.
They might. You might. I mean,
And then 20, and then 10.
maybe 50 is too generous. Okay, yeah.
That's interesting. That's on the same depreciation curve as those like SL65s and
Mhm.
S65s, which were like,
17 or 18 V8 Bentayga. Look out.
what was the sticker on those when they were like 300?
They made the 12 cylinders and a bunch of other trim packages, but it was a lot. Or just buy a Hyundai Genesis SUV and it basically looks like it. I still get those confused running around New York when I see one.
And on that note, thank you for listening. Feedback to podcast@bringatrailer.com. We'll catch you next time.